Right, it was a historic judgment yesterday, as you know. In practical terms, what has actually changed? Let's talk to Labour MP Jess Phillips, who's campaigned for the new domestic abuse bill, which was dropped when Parliament was suspended, but could now potentially continue its path to becoming law. In terms of Brexit, she wants a second referendum. MEP Alexandra Phillips from the Brexit party is here. Is happy to leave with no deal. Ed Vaizey, now an independent MP after he was chucked out of the Conservative Party. He wants to leave but is against no deal. And independent MP Frank Field, he used to be Labour, but he wants to leave the EU and he voted for Theresa May's withdrawal agreement 3 times. Good morning. Good morning, good morning. Right, Jess Phillips, you're back. What are you going to do with this time?
Well, as you said in your intro, I will be spending this time looking at how we can progress the domestic abuse bill, which would have dropped, but now the justices have done us a favour and the bill is now back on the books, and I will be working to make sure that things like cross-examination of victims by their perpetrators in the family courts can no longer go on in our country.
And do you need a certain amount of time for that to become law? What is the time? Can you do it?
I mean, who knows is the answer to that question. Yes, we need a certain amount of time. You need committees and you need money bills to go through Parliament. But if there's a will in that place, there is always a way, and so we will be seeking a number of different ways to make sure that at least second reading happens, so that if Parliament falls again for whatever reason, and there are so many different reasons, that actually it can then be just restarted.
Alex Phillips, are you happy to see democracy back in action?
Do you know what? I actually think in this respect Boris overplayed his hand with the prorogation. I don't understand what it's gained. I think that actually the worst part, the biggest tragedy of the prorogation for me is it gave people who want to reverse a democratic election result an ability to say we've got moral high ground on this issue. So, you know, let's get back to work. But what I would say is now we actually need to change who sits on those green benches, because Brexit isn't being delivered. It's been 3 years now, and I think unless there's a shake-up of representation in that Parliament of people who do actually want to deliver the referendum result, we're going to be stuck in limbo.
But are you happy that someone like Jess Phillips and others is going to try and get this domestic abuse bill into legislation?
Absolutely, and I think it's absolutely right that the country continues to be governed and governed well, and important matters shouldn't be taken off the table because Brexit is still being laboriously fought over by people who don't want to deliver it. So no, it's good to see MPs back at work. I just wish that more of them were people who wanted to honour the 2016 results.
And that is the issue, isn't it? Voters, many voters, want to see the referendum result delivered.
Exactly. So I'm pleased that Alex is pleased that I'm back, because I'm one of those who wants to honour the referendum result, and I voted for the withdrawal agreement 3 times to honour the referendum result. We would have been out for 6 months now if my fellow MPs had voted with me. But I've always
and that's fair,
said,
isn't it? If fellow MPs, Conservatives, Labour had voted, we'd be out of the EU.
I'm more than willing to vote for a deal as long as that deal then goes back to the people. I just think it's time for the people to decide.
People have decided is the argument.
Not on the deal. They haven't. I mean, the deals that are being voted for, not even the Prime Minister voted for them. This Prime Minister, who claims he wants Brexit all the time, has failed to vote for it, hasn't pulled his finger out to actually bring a Brexit deal back to Parliament. He should be getting on with his job, but frankly, he'd rather just, you know, be playing games with the country. And, you know, fair enough that Ed voted for it, Frank voted for it. I don't like the Brexit deal. I'm not going to vote for something that will make my constituents poorer. Never, ever, ever.
I mean, well, this is the problem we have, that Parliament has for too long said what it doesn't want and not what it does want. And I, funnily enough, over the summer, I was very supportive of Boris Johnson's position, which if Parliament simply refuses to vote for a deal, then no deal is the only option. I would much rather, as Alex said, Boris hadn't suspended Parliament. He had genuinely gone for a deal, brought it back and asked Parliament to vote for it. And if Parliament won't vote for it, then I can countenance a no deal. But at the moment, I will do anything to stop no deal in order to force the Prime Minister to get us a deal and bring it back to Parliament. That's what I want, and maybe we can use this time back in Parliament for backbenchers effectively to bring back a deal and ask people to vote for it.
OK, Boris Johnson just getting off his plane at Heathrow, coming back from New York. Frank Field, what do you want him to do now?
Well, I want him to actually get that deal. I'm confident he will get that deal.
What makes you confident?
Well, because there's a will in Parliament now.
Is there?
Oh yeah, absolutely. There's a change of some people on the Labour side. That deal will be Mrs May's deal with some additions. It will be in a new tin with a different label, but it will be essentially the deal that's been rejected 3 times. Mrs May will win this, and the person that undermined her will deliver her deal.
Right. That's interesting when you put it like that. But will it have some of the things that the Labour Party want, like workers' rights, environmental protections and so on?
We'll obviously want that strengthened, that side of it, and I think that will be strengthened. The Supreme Court judgment is of profound importance to the way we operate. The discretionary powers now that a government in the past always exercised just by itself now has to appear before the court of reasonableness, and if not, the Supreme Court will rule against them.
Boris Johnson just walking down the steps of the aeroplane, as you can see.
Obviously can't compete with that.
What's he got in his box?
I don't know.
This is tin with a label on.
It's a red box, no entourage.
That will be. I'm sure that will be delivered. And then you had Norman Smith on earlier. I think we will parole again. He'll have to go and grovel to the Queen. So I'm sorry, but I hope this one's legal. That it's Friday night, and you're doing a speech next Monday, at Queen's speech next Monday or Tuesday.
What would be the point of that? I mean, who's going to vote for his Queen's speech?
Oh, because he's not without ability, the Prime Minister, whatever else you think about him. And that Queen's speech will be packed with the giveaways that he's promised.
But he can't get anything through because he's got a minus 40 majority.
I think if we had bills about making sure I'd got more police in Birkenhead, a better health service in Birkenhead, a strengthening of those people who are pushed onto contracts which deny them any dignity as a worker, I don't think there's going to be any problem getting all of that through.
Is there any... Go on, you pulled a face there, Jess Phillips.
I think that Frank is right about the police in Birkenhead and police in Birmingham, that, I'm not going to vote against the idea of more police. I think the idea that Boris Johnson's going to give workers better rights and protections is optimistic on Frank's part.
We will test that out, won't we?
Yeah,
because we will have the chance to actually amend. And as the Supreme Court has ruled, and this is its significance, it has strengthened the power of MPs against the executive, and that won't actually be lost easily.
Isn't it nice to be debating domestic issues there? Imagine what this could be like.
I know.
I think it's a brief interlude as Boris Johnson returns in his official car. Do you still, Alex Phillips from the Brexit Party, do you still want to do an electoral pact with Boris Johnson and the Conservatives?
Yeah, because actually one thing that's alarming me is the idea of that dreaded deal coming back and getting through, because frankly it doesn't deliver on Brexit. Sitting on the Brussels side of things, and we're going for meetings with Barnier et al. We're speaking to UK rep over there. That is what Boris is going to do. He's going to put lipstick on a surrender treaty. This is the sort of deal, the EU invented it, but this is the sort of deal a country would only sign if they'd been defeated in war. It's terrible. It shackles us.
It
shackles us.
The talk of war and surrender.
Shackles us.
All I think about when I think about whatever deal it is I'm going to think about what's going to happen to the car workers at Jaguar Land Rover in my constituency. So while you're here talking about war,
I'm not
some
talking
of us
about
are
war.
living in reality.
It was an analogy, because
It's
what
a
I'm
poor
trying
one,
to say,
is all I'd
what
say.
I'm trying to say is that deal binds us for futurity. This
it
innocuous
doesn't.
sounding term level playing field. Yes, it does.
Can
It absolutely does.
The trouble with the deal is a Boris Johnson cake and eat it deal. We had all the access to the single market without having to pay into Europe. It was a brilliant deal.
We're still having the same argument.
I know,
that
so
we've had.
let's vote for a deal.
Three of us who actually vote in Parliament are all agreed. We will have a deal. The deal will get us out, and then there will be amendments made. Once we're out, what the treaty says, it will be like French republics. They come and go. Once we're safely out, Vauxhall workers in my constituency, Jaguar workers, car workers, providing we can protect the supply chains in this transitional period,
then at that point,
then we can start making major changes.
If that happens, it's the end of the Brexit Party, isn't it?
Yeah.
If we manage to deliver Brexit, I would
relish.
be absolutely delighted, but I don't believe that deal actually delivers on Brexit. It doesn't deliver on what people campaigned on, leaving the single market, leaving the customs union.
For the car workers in my area? What do
Well,
you
it's very
suggest?
simple. We have very obvious contingency plans that have been written up both in Whitehall and in the EU.
What are they, though?
Like
Come on,
I
what
am
are
saying.
they?
No,
Well, you
the
can access the ones in Whitehall
The
very
ones in
easily.
Whitehall clearly say that it's going to be a tailback.
There are Vauxhall workers.
We're going to go two sides.
Hang
Now
on,
listen, if I
Alex
can actually
Phillips
finish a sentence, then you might actually have something elucidated to you.
I doubt it.
The difficulty. Don't be rude, Jess. What is your problem?
Because you're trying to impoverish my constituents.
I'm not trying to.
And I don't like
your constituents. I'm sorry. 45,000 people in your constituency voted to leave, and you don't want their voices heard. You don't want their votes counted. You are betraying them. They paid you to represent them, and you want to name.
Alex, voted for me after the referendum.
On a ticket of honouring the referendum
No.
result, which you don't want to
Alex,
do. I'm sorry, Jess.
If you'd like to come to my constituency, I'm sure that people will be more than happy to tell you how they feel about me. And if they don't like me,
would you stand in a general election tomorrow and think you'll re-win your seat?
Absolutely, 100%. Their jobs matter much more to me than my own job. If they don't like what I'm doing, they have every right not to vote for me against, because we live in a parliamentary democracy.
Matters much more to you than their opinion.
No, their lives matter more.
I'm going
Quote of the day that
Mr. Field, sorry.
that people don't know who Jess Phillips is and what she represents in
I know,
Birmingham.
hilarious. The idea that people don't know what my views are is laughable.
You know,
My
and we are
constituents are
there
happy.
now. We're in an end game to protect our constituents' well-being and deliver on the Brexit deal,
Well
and we'll
said.
do both.
Well said.
And do you have faith, Ed Vaizey, finally, that Boris Johnson can do that?
Well, I hope he can, and just so I
Do
can
you
get
have
on,
faith he can?
so I can get in on the constituency. I've had thousands of constituents supporting my position, which is to get out with a
Deal.
So, I think it is a fair point to say there are 3 MPs here who do
Yeah.
talk to their constituents about these issues
And talk
are
to each
trying
other.
to represent
Yes.
them in Parliament and not be caricatured as somehow trying to stop Brexit.
And when
We're
only
just
he
trying to
was
get the
over in
best
Brussels talking to people there, and it alarms me greatly. The content of that deal alarms me greatly.
OK. Thank you very much, all of you.
Thank
Thanks
you.
for coming on the programme. Thank you. Appreciate it.